The story begins in a labyrinth which lies deep in the winding depths of the fog-drowned forest. What is going on here? The wind is intense while a danger lurks in the corner. Something about this place is very unsettling. Suddenly, we see two footsteps. But they are not just regular footsteps, they are the footsteps of a skeleton. It is a skeleton that seems to be running in the forest. But why? He is scared shitless and running away from a monster. This freaky monster is chasing him like a hungry GF. This forest holds a lot of grotesque and comically ugly looking monsters, and this skeleton is the weakest of all of them. He is running with fear in his eyes. Huffing and puffing, he takes a look behind to see if he is still being chased. As he turns his skull around, an ugly hand tries to reach his face and catch him. Scared and out of breath, the skeleton says that he is done for now. He's gotta escape this or else he's over. He uses all his leftover energy to run as fast as he can to escape this hand. But he can't get far away from him. With one swift snatch, a huge goblin catches the running skeleton in his one hand. This goblin is enormous and appears to be very strong. He is called a hobgoblin, an evolved form of the goblin line, 4 times the size of a standard goblin. He carries the running skeleton in his hand and, with a grim smile showing his sharp, pointy teeth, he tells him that these bones of his will make for a fine weapon. Of course, this is the world where the strong prey on the weak, but the tiny skeleton is not planning on dying. He doesn't want to die. As he is thinking about his fate, the hobgoblin takes a look at him and ditches him in a huge hole in the ground. He is definitely going to trap him and kill him that way. As the skeleton falls into the hole, a huge rock also lands on his ribs and hurts him. At this point, he doesn't have much energy left from all the running and taking such a huge fall. Looks like he is done for now. He tries to crawl and get away from the huge rock on his body, but he is very dizzy and doesn't know where he is. He puts his hand on his skull and stops it from spinning. He then looks around and finds himself in a dark hole while the goblin is standing outside of it, staring down at him with a smile. Seeing the goblin looking at him with such evilness in his eyes, the skeleton gets nervous and turns around frantically trying to find an exit. He looks around everywhere and bangs his hands on the walls of the hole, but nothing works. There is no way for him to get out. Looking at the solid walls around him, the skeleton knows that there is no way out for him, and this is it. What can he do now? He doesn't want to die so soon. As he is thinking this and tries to accept his fate, someone asks him if he seeks to live. What? Who is that? The skeleton is shocked to hear a voice. Who is asking him that? Was that the goblin? But that voice is of a woman. He looks behind him, and it looks like the voice just came from a sword. The skeleton is flabbergasted to see a talking sword. As he tries to reach the sword, a big, dark cloud appears in front of him. A voice reaches his ears. The lady from the cloud asks him if her voice has reached him, and if he wishes to live on. The skeleton is confused about what is going on here. Who is this lady, and why is she helping him? Maybe that girl got a savior complex. Come on, stupid guy. But he also doesn't have much of a choice. He is desperate to save his life and get out of here. The voice tells him to take the sword in his hand, and his foe will be slain. The skeleton is sweating out of nervousness as he is trying to decide what to do. With a gulp of courage, he kneels to the ground and picks out that big black sword. As soon as he takes the sword in his hand, a dark cloud surrounds him, and a different spirit takes over his body. It looks like he is more powerful now. The skeleton starts to repeatedly say that he wants to live, and he can't die. Suddenly, we see that the goblin is also inside the hole now. He is pissed at the skeleton because he made him come down to this hole. He gets ready to end him while saying that small prey like him should learn to die quicker. He looks in front of him so that he can attack the skeleton. But it seems like he is not just a weak skeleton anymore. The skeleton has the power of a dark cloud. The skeleton himself cannot understand what is happening to him and why he is feeling so different now. It is like a huge fog has lifted, and he can see clearly for the first time. Suddenly, the sword starts to talk again, saying that those who brandish this sword soon find their flesh consumed by the curse. But he is a skeleton, so it would seem that, in lacking flesh, his body remains unaffected. The skeleton is shocked to hear what this sword is talking about. He knew it was talking, but he didn't know what this sword meant by curse. How can it speak all of a sudden? And what is this black smoke-like stuff all over him? Too much vaping dog. Suddenly, from the dark, a figure of a woman appears. The woman asks him if their touch just granted him the power of speech. There is a great multitude she would teach him, but first, he has to slay the foe before it claims him. The hobgoblin is standing in front of the skeleton and is looking at him with obvious confusion. The goblin is smart enough to connect the dots together and asks him to hand over his sword. But the stupid skeleton is not so stupid anymore. He tells himself that he wants to live, and now there is no way he can turn away here. Running is not an option. He has to cut the guts out of this ugly guy. He holds the sword in front of his face and pulls it out of its cover. He thinks to himself that he will take this chance that this strange blade gave him, and even if he lives or dies, he is going to fight till the very end. As he is thinking this, the lady with the sword starts to laugh and says how quickly he changed from a weakling to a challenger. She tells him to put his life on the line. As she is saying this, the skeleton starts to swing his sword in the air. Suddenly, the girl with the sword appears in front of him. The skeleton is shocked for a second, seeing this beautiful girl. But this is not going to distract him from his purpose. He is going to win this battle and live. The goblin is seeing all this, and he is scared. He asks the skeleton what he is planning on doing now. The goblin tries to attack him with a punch and take away his sword. But it is not so easy. Looks like this dumb skeleton is getting smarter now. Avoiding his punch, the skeleton jumps up in the air. This move even surprises himself. How is he able to do that? The sword tells him that his body has been enhanced by the grasp of its dark haze. The skeleton is super confused. He asks the sword what is dark haze. The sword tells him that it is the aura that surrounds his body. The dark smoke is the reason. Tiny skeleton is confused. It is true that his body is moving like he has perfect control over it. He feels stronger than ever. As he realizes this, he uses this new advancement to charge at the goblin in front of him. Before the sword, he was not the kind of person who could attack anyone with this much confidence. But things have changed now. He runs up to the hobgoblin with full force but is unable to land a hit as the goblin dodges the attack. With a missed hit, the goblin starts to laugh at him and says what is wrong with his wimpy form. He then tells him that if he keeps on fighting him like that, he won't even be able to cut him if the hit is landed. Seeing his weak form, the skeleton is disappointed in himself. He is about to give up, but the girl suddenly comes up to him from behind and tells him to calm down. She tells him that the path to victory lies not in flustered footwork. He's gotta compose himself and perceive. Do so, and he will see through his foe's motions. Keep his mind clear, and it will come to him naturally. The skeleton nods and decides to follow the said instructions. He lifts up his sword again and looks at the goblin. This is the first step towards certain victory. The goblin looks at him with his ugly look and asks him if he is done already. Calling him a pathetic skeleton, the goblin starts to laugh at him. He says that this is all he expects from a lowlife like him. It doesn't matter if he got a sword like this. And before he can finish his sentence, the skeleton charges at him and swings his sword at the goblin. This is the last time this goblin will be able to speak. The dark haze flow has been altered. The patchiness from earlier has evened out. Now it's covering his entire body, layering itself on the most vital points. It's almost acting like muscle fibers on the skeleton's body. The goblin sees this and says that something doesn't seem right. That damn look in his eyes is pissing him off. He tries to punch him and says that he is going to pound him to dust, but this time the goblin doesn't stand a chance. With a swift attack of quick draw, the skeleton ends the game. He chops off its arm, and the goblin is finished. What just happens? The skeleton is surprised himself. The girl laughs and says that she would have never believed he would master the quick draw arts on his first attempt. The skeleton is still confused as he doesn't even know what quick draw is. The girl tells him that it seems like their bodies are rather compatible. He looks at the sword and says that this is the most delightful thing ever. After crawling his way out of the hole, the girl asks him how the taste of his first victory is. The first victory. The skeleton is confused as always. He can't believe what just happened, but the girl tells him that it is true. He just topples a hobgoblin and gains a true life. The skeleton looks down at the sword in his hand and says this is it. So this is the taste of victory. This skeleton is the weakest among the labyrinth's denizens. Yet one day, he will reign over a peerless army and be crowned the mightiest of them all. This is only the beginning of his legendary journey. The skeleton holds the sword in his hand and looks up at the girl. He asks her who she is and what is going on with his body. The girl looks at him and tells him that she will explain everything in due time. First, however, she is going to show him her other form. She tells him that because of his touch, the seal is broken. Before the skeleton can understand this, the girl suddenly flies up in the air and changes her form to a prettier girl. He is standing there in shock with his bony jaw wide open. What just happens? The girl looks at him and tells him that she can hardly remember the last time she changed into her prettier form. As she is telling him all this, he is still in deep shock. The girl laughs at him and asks him if he is at a loss for words or something. Looks like our little skelly has a crush on his own sword. Yeah, it is weird, but I mean anything can happen here in this labyrinth. Laughing, she introduces herself to the skeleton, saying her name is Yamashiger, the Dark Rain. She is a weapon imbued with a persona, an intelligent weapon. This body of hers is an enchanted blade that hosts a curse most foul. The skeleton can't comprehend all this at once and just asks her what is enchanted. The girl looks at him with a smile and tells him to just call her Yami. The skeleton tells her that he figures she wasn't just a regular sword, but Yami jokingly tells him to shut up, and she can unleash a curse upon her holder. In return, she enhances their body. Furthermore, her own efficacy as a weapon is, well, they can get to that another time. If he is still curious as to why he has gained the power of speech, she is going to be honest and tell him that she doesn't know. It would seem that her long slumber has robbed her of some fundamental memories. She puts her hands on her forehead and tries to remember what she is doing in a place such as this. Is she truly sealed away? She simply can't recall. The skeleton interrupts her and tells her that it is okay. At least he knows how he gets stronger. It is totally okay if she doesn't know why he can speak now. But is it alright for him to keep hold of her and use her? Hearing his dumb question, Yami laughs and hits him in his chest with her elbow, saying of course, why would she dare say there is no other wielder as convenient as him? She is a bit abusive, but Skelly likes it. Yami looks at him and asks him what his name is, but the skeleton is standing there confused. He tells her that he doesn't have a name. He tells her that he doesn't really have much of a sense of self in the first place. Hearing this, Yami starts to think and tells him that she will give him a suitable name now. After a little bit of thinking, she excitedly tells him that she is going to name him Seiya. Yes, it is decided now, his name is Seiya. In her language, Seiya means scabbard. Thus, he is to become the sheath that houses the cursed blade. Hearing this, the skeleton is clueless about what to say. He looks at Yami and asks her if it is that easy to name someone. Still, Seiya is. It's not that bad. Yami smiles and tells him that it is settled. From now on out, he will be Seiya. Seiya is also excited about his new name. Yami then tells him that since they have decided on a name for him, now it's time for her to decide on a suitable attire for him. Hearing the word attire, Seiya is confused. He doesn't know what it is. He asks Yami what that is and if he can fight it. Yami looks at him while laughing and says that he is so cute. He doesn't have the basic knowledge. His mind is just like a child's. She cutely holds his big skull and asks him why he doesn't know about such a basic term. This makes him so cute. This means she will teach him so many things going forward. Hearing the word cute, Seiya is confused, but now he is not going to ask her a stupid question again. Yami looks at him and holds him by his shoulder, asking him to stay still and tells him to get dressed. Seiya does as he is told and stands still. Yami then uses her hands to do some kind of magic. Seiya is shocked, and he tells her that he can feel the power coming from her. He doesn't know how to describe it, but this feeling is so strange. Yami tells him to remember this sensation well, for this is how it feels to be safe and secure. Safe and secure. Seiya has never even heard these words, but Yami tells him to commit them to his memory. As they are talking about this, Seiya looks down, and he is fully dressed in a brand new outfit. Yami is subtly skinny shaming him. Yami looks at him with a smile and tells him that it fits perfectly. A body of bone, draped in a kimono, is sublimely stylish, but rest assured of its defensive potential, for it is instilled with her own power. No ordinary weapon should be able to pierce it. Hearing this new cool feature, Seiya is amazed. He tells her that this is definitely more than amazing, and she is super talented. Hearing her being praised by Seiya like this makes Yami blush like a peach, and she starts to sweat. As they are having this conversation, Seiya hears a rustling in the distance. Looks like it is coming from the tree above. They both look up at the tree, and there are 3 ugly goblins standing on the branches. With pointy ears and sharp teeth, it looks like they are planning on fighting Seiya and Yami. Seiya is still not sure what to do, but Yami looks at him and tells him that these goblins look like they will make fine training partners for him. As she tells him this, she holds his arm and looks at him. He asks her if she is going to help him train. Yami gently pulls his arm and tells him that her wielder must come to match the strength of his weapon. Of course, she is going to help him. She tells him that once he becomes strong enough, she is going to show him the world beyond. Hearing this, Seiya is both happy and shocked. Suddenly, Yami closes her eyes, and with a dark haze, she turns into a sword. The same sword that is used to slay the hobgoblin is now going to be used for Seiya's training. As he takes his form and faces the goblins, all he can think about is what Yami told him earlier. What does she mean by world beyond? Does she mean there is a world outside the labyrinth? He is both fascinated and curious about it. He decides that all he needs to do is get stronger, and then he will be able to see the world beyond. With a swift motion, he attacks the goblins, but they are not so easy to slay. The goblin successfully dodges his attacks and tries to jump on him again. Suddenly, a voice comes from the sword, and it says that his swing is too broad and his motions are too stiff. Let his grip be loose and flexible. Seiya hears it and decides to listen to Yami's advice and follow her instructions. After doing as he is told, he chops off all 3 of them in 2 hits. After he is done, a voice comes out of the sword and tells him that his diagonal slices and stabbing motions show promise. But enemies this week should take far less time to dispatch. Yami walks toward a huge tree, and the sword tells him that there is a safe zone. Suddenly, Yami appears and suggests that they have been together for 2 days now and have spent all the time fighting. They should have a bit of rest now. They both reach a big tree with a hollow inside, and Yami points out to him that this is a safe zone. Seiya looks at her and asks her what is a safe zone. She holds his hand and tells him to follow along, and he will get to see himself. Yami is definitely the dominating one here. She takes him inside the tree, and he is shocked. What is this place? This place looks beautiful. Yami tells him that a safe zone is a designated area within the labyrinth. It is a place for respite and recuperation used by the humans who come exploring. The native monsters, of course, cannot see this for what it is. Seiya is looking around and telling her that he didn't even notice this place earlier before she points it out. But he doesn't need to rest. He tells her that he is a skeleton, so he doesn't get worn out. He then tells her that he wants to get stronger, so they should just hurry along now. As he starts to walk out, Yami holds him by his hand and stops him in his tracks. She tells him that there will be none of that. She tells him to take a look at the state of his face and clothes. While it is true he may not suffer fatigue, that does not mean his bones will not accumulate damage over time. He should not forget the toll of mental and emotional hardships. A rest will do wonders for clearing his head. And with everything aside, she would like to rest a bit, too. She sits down on the ground and stretches her arms out, saying, as expected, she can actually rest here, too. She then lies down and closes her eyes. Before she can fall asleep, she looks to her right and sees Seiya is still standing there with his sword in his hand, trying to practice his moves. Yami looks at him with an annoyed look and tells him that it is enough practice for today. He should just lie by her side now and rest. Oh my, she is dropping all the possible hints, but this guy is not picking them up. Seeing her lie on a bamboo mat, Seiya goes up to her and lies beside her. He is thinking to himself why he copies everything she does, but it looks like they are growing close to each other. While they are both lying down, Yami looks at him and starts to laugh like crazy. She tells him that it looks like they are mother and child. She props his head up on her palm and looks at Seiya lying next to her. She tells him that he is adorable. Hearing her yap in his ear, Seiya turns his head towards her, and he is flabbergasted to see her chest so up close. His expression changes from calm to confused. Suddenly, Yami asks him what the matter is. What is it? Does the sight of her chest weigh upon him? He looks at her and tells her that those 2 big mounds. He is a bit confused by them, since they are not on his body or anything. Hearing him be so curious, Yami laughs at him and tells him that he is definitely much more adorable than she thinks he is. Now, if he does not mind, she will use him as a body tonight. And with that being said, she cuddles his big skull in her arms and falls asleep with her legs wrapped around him. And with that good night's sleep, thus begins the curious adventure of the weakling skeleton, says the cursed blade Yami. Yet what awaits Seiya beyond the labyrinth is terrifying. Powerful monsters beyond the skeleton's wildest imagination. The next morning, in the safe zone, Yami wakes up with Seiya's skull nestled between her chest. She gets up and starts to rub her eyes, then looks at Seiya's face. She asks him if he slept like that all night long. Seiya looks at her completely clueless and asks if that is a bad thing. He then tells her that she was sleeping so peacefully and soundly, so he doesn't want to wake her up. Hearing this, Yami hugs him tightly and laughs, saying he was worried about her. He is super cute beyond compare. Is she doing it knowingly? Is she trying to drop some hints? She keeps planting his skull between her chest. What is she trying to hint at? Suddenly, Seiya gets up and tells her to get up now. They both get ready to leave for the outside, and Yami tells him that as much as she would love to continue snuggling with his adorable self, they must be on their way. Seiya nods and says that she is right. If he wants to get strong enough to see the world beyond, he needs to take out even tougher enemies. As soon as they leave the safe zone, Seiya knocks out some goblins with his sword like it is something normal for him now. It looks like the training is working. Suddenly, the sword tells him that his work is getting fine now. It appears he is growing used to the dark haze that envelops his body. Seiya hears this and nods. He tells the sword that he is going to keep at it. But something is not right this time. He tells Yami that something strange is going on. What is going on with his body? What is this light? We see Seiya is covered in a bright light. She tells him that it is okay. That light is because great news is in order. It seems like he has developed a class. She tells him that she is a cursed blade. As he may recall, her holder can develop something called a class as they gain experience. The class he has gained today is known as Skeleton Saber. Rejoice, he may now utilize previously unattainable skills. Now that his power has grown, perhaps it is time to move to another level. Seiya asks her what the next level is. Yami tells him that if he seeks greater strength, they must seek out stronger foes. They both go to a cliff and stand in front of a huge bridge. Yami tells him that ahead of this point, across the younger bridge lies the second level of the labyrinth, where monsters yet unknown seek him. A territory that he, the lowest of the low, could never have dreamt of treading upon. Seiya is very much interested in this new level. He excitedly crosses the younger bridge and goes head-on with the new level monsters. He is going to challenge how far his own strength can take him. As he reaches up close to the nearest monster, he sees that it is a huge, goblin-like monster. Who is it? The sword tells Seiya that before them, an orc was standing. She happens to know they are averse to fire now. She tells him that it is time for him to utilize his new skills. Seiya nods and uses his sword with enchanted flames. With one clear swipe, he chops the orc in half. And that is it, Seiya defeats this orc. At night, Seiya and Yami are both sitting in the forest. Yami tells him that he handled himself admirably today. To think he would dispatch so easily a foe that outclasses a hobgoblin. Seiya looks at Yami and asks her how strong an orc is compared to other monsters. Yami props her head on her hand and tells him that he has begun to be mindful of such matters as well. She decides that it is time for her to teach him. She tells him that monsters are covered by a hierarchy system defined by their rank. Humans divide monsters into 6 ranks in total, starting at rank E for the weakest of monsters, and going up for the mightiest of beasts. From E to A, monsters gradually get stronger, but the strongest of them all are the ones with rank S. These monsters possess enough power to annihilate entire nations by themselves. The time is right, she suggests. Now that he is somewhat familiar with his class, it is time to show him his status. Hearing the word status, Seiya is super confused. Suddenly, Yami pulls up his status screen, which tells everything about Seiya. His name, species, equipment, and current classes. He looks at it in shock and asks Yami if this writing is about him. Yami confirms this and tells him that it is about him indeed. This is one of her unique tricks she can do. Seiya tells her that he can't really read it. As they are talking about this, 2 wild boar-looking monsters attack them. The sword tells him to be cautious as he is a skeleton and he cannot be slashed easily. But crushing blows are his weakness. Seiya nods and tells the sword that he will avoid getting hit and will use this skill. With the new skill of Enchanted Wind, he slays both the boars. After finishing both of them, Seiya seems surprised by how fast it is. Yami from the sword tells him that indeed, Enchanted Wind does not just grant the power of gales to his weapon, it also amplifies his movement speed. And with that, Seiya learns rapid acceleration. After a while, another goblin jumps on Seiya from a tree above. The sword tells him to keep a weather eye upon its movements. Seiya. She tells him that she has faith in his ability to navigate this. The foe before them is a goblin mage. Be mindful, this one will strike from afar with magic. Hearing this, Seiya nods again and looks behind him. The goblin mage is attacking him from behind. He shoots a big fireball at him. Seiya turns around and decides to cancel the attack with his sword. But he suddenly remembers Yami telling him to keep an eye on its movement. With his eyes fixed on the fireball, he figures out what is the right time to strike back. After a bit of calculation, he strikes back and successfully cuts the fireball in half. Before the goblin mage can understand what just happened, Seiya runs behind this monster and with a hard strike, he takes him down. Seiya is getting so much better now. Yami sees this and is totally astonished. She never would have thought he would slice through the mage itself. He not only sees through the magic but also times his attack perfectly to counter it. As Yami is busy wondering all this, Seiya tells her that his body is starting to glow again. Yami tells him that he has gained a new class. He is now a skeleton mage and has 4 new skills with that. It is likely that he has awakened the skills and class held by the goblin mage. She congratulates Seiya and tells him that he has acquired magic skills and he now has methods to fight from afar. But it is not that easy. He needs a keen judgment to make proper use of them. He is only getting better because Yami is helping him, so they are not very fair. Seiya asks her why he would need judgment to use magic. She tells him that proper judgment leads to tactical planning. After a while, 3 orcs attack Seiya, and he decides to fight them using his mage powers. He notices that these orcs aren't attacking him like the wild ones were. They must have more combat experience. He is trying to use better judgment here and decides that he will come to them instead. He starts with a small orc standing near him. He attacks the orc with a fire bullet and uses Enchanted Wind to end him. With only 2 of them left, he attacks one with a rock bullet and gets rid of him. Now only one of them is left. Yami is watching all this and is shocked to see how fast he is learning all this. He uses both his skills and the sword so smoothly in tandem. He is becoming stronger and at a speed far exceeding her expectations. They both walk up to a new location, and a monster most foul lurks nearby. Seiya nods, and they both secretly walk up to the monster. Yami quietly asks Seiya if he can feel it. He tells her to keep looking. He can see this one is different from the others. Yami tells him that this one is a Minotaur C-. How is he planning on approaching it? He tells her that he is going to go with a sneak attack. Yami looks at him with a concerned look and tells him that his plan is excellent and it is definitely going to work. On the other hand, Seiya takes his position behind a wall and tells her that he is going to start by keeping his distance while chipping away at the enemy. Then he is going to go closer and take his shot. It is the perfect strategy that utilizes all his skills. Hearing this, Yami is in awe that this stupid skeleton is so wise now, it is amazing. While she thinks this, Seiya uses his rock bullet skill to hit the orc from the back. As soon as the hit lands, the orc turns around and looks at Seiya. But Seiya is planning on taking this opportunity to take this orc down. He uses enchanted wind and jumps on him with his sword. This is the time to slay this orc for good. Right? No, the orc is not so easy to take down. He blocks Seiya's sword with his huge hammer. This orc is not any ordinary monster. He is actually huge up close. His hammer is double the size of Seiya's. Choosing an enemy triple in size is not a very good decision. Seiya is surprised to see him cancel out his slash with only one of its arms. And before he can do anything else, the orc picks up its hammer and screams loudly with its hammer in the air. Seiya is confused about what to do. He has never fought a smart enough foe. Suddenly, the voice comes from the sword. It's Yami again, guiding him on what to do. She tells him to move fast and back up. And just as Seiya takes his steps back, the orc hits his hammer on the ground, nearly missing Seiya. After backing up a bit, Seiya realizes that even with Yami's boost, he will still lose a contest of pure power. So this battle will have to be a battle of speed, not a battle of power. He takes a position again and looks his opponent in the eyes. The dark haze is fully surrounding him now, and with enchanted wind, he runs at the orc at full speed. A swallow strike, and it's all about dodging its attacks. Seiya has decided that he won't let this monster catch him. When it attacks, it leaves itself wide open. Shallow strikes are working. All he has to do is wear down its morale. Seiya is fighting this monster very smartly and with swift motions of his sword, and a perfect combination of speed. This battle is almost over. Who knew a stupid skeleton could be so smart just by owning a sword? The way he transforms his tactics on the fly. Even a monster as mighty as a Minotaur is at Seiya's mercy. And right before he is about to kill it, the monster throws its hammer on the ground in front of Seiya. Why would he do that? Seiya is also very confused. Suddenly, the monster kneels in front of Seiya and tells him that he is admitting his defeat. What? This monster can talk? Seiya asks Yami if this monster can really talk or if he is just hearing things. Yami talks to him through the sword and tells him that there is no way, and that it is impossible. An elite Minotaur would be incapable of speech, let alone an intermediate one like this. As Yami and Seiya both speak to each other, the Minotaur looks at them with his huge jaw wide open. He is shocked to see the skeleton talking to his sword. It is all so new for him. He is also able to understand what they are talking about. Suddenly, the sword tells him that it looks like he just gets leveled up, and pulls up his status screen. And guess what? He actually does level up. The new skills are Omniglot Comprehension and Servitude and Defeat. What are these new skills? Yami explains to him that Omniglot Comprehension allows him to communicate in any language, including the Minotaurs. Given that she, too, can understand him, it would seem the effect extends to those in his vicinity. So like a Google Translate for monster and sword people. As this is happening, Minotaur starts to beg him for mercy. He wants to join him in service and nothing else. What is he saying? The sword tells him that this must be servitude and defeat. It is quite a repertoire of interesting skills he has gathered. Yami tells him to make a Minotaur Seiya's underling. What is underling? Is he going to work for him? Seiya asks Yami. She confirms it and tells him to improve himself in the world of the labyrinth. Accumulating allies is a must. It is only natural for the strong to acquire followers. Seiya nods and tells Yami that if that is what she suggests, he is going to do so. Seiya goes up to the monster and tells him that from now on, he is going to be serving him. The Minotaur smiles and thanks him a ton. Seiya is very compassionate towards his new monster friend and asks him that he now only has one good arm. Will he be able to fight like this? The monster nods and tells him that he will prove his worth for sure. Seiya goes up to him and looks at his face closely. What is it? Seiya tells him that his face looks quite pale now. but the monster chuckles awkwardly and tells him that it is not true and he is as fit as a fiddle. Seiya is a big empath. Suddenly, the sword tells him that Seiya doesn't have to be so worried about the Minotaur's arm. She tells him that she is an enchanted blade. He is her holder thus far. He has been using her to slay countless monsters. With each foe slain, she absorbs their life force and stores it within its edge. He may tap into that power and heal the Minotaur's wounds with it. What is Yami saying? Seiya and Minotaur are both super confused. Minotaur looks at the sword and says, how is this sword talking again and again? How can that be? It is very hard to believe. The sword then tells them that she can speak because she is an enchanted blade. So be it. Minotaur, now that he has joined their ranks, she will deign to show him her other form. As they both hear this, suddenly the sword turns into a dark smoke cloud. From that dark cloud, Yami appears. A gorgeous young girl is standing in front of both of them. She introduces herself as an enchanted blade named Yami. She is both Seiya's guardian and his weapon. Minotaur can refer to her as Yami. Holofucking airball, weapons can be people. And a total hottie, no less. Minotaur is shocked to see Yami. Minotaur looks at her and tells her that if she is the weapon of his lord, Seiya, then he is going to call her Lady Yami. As Yami hears him, Minotaur looks at her big chest and tells her that she is very voluptuous and he has to mate with her. What the heck? Why is he so straightforward? No riz, no nothing, just straight up wanting to mate with her. Bruh, at least ask for consent first. Hearing him, Seiya puts his hand over Yami and tells the Minotaur to stay away from her. Seiya tells him that she is his weapon and not anyone else's. Hearing Seiya, Minotaur is feeling a bit of embarrassment. He asks him for forgiveness and looks at the ground. Seeing Seiya be so protective over her, Yami wraps both her arms around him and happily calls him her Seiya. She then asks him if he gets displeased when other males proposition her. Hearing her questions, Seiya is confused about what to say. But Yami looks at him and tells him that he doesn't have to worry about it. He is the only one she will allow to pair with her. After she tells him this, she starts to giggle and blush as the Minotaur stands in front of them, embarrassed. Minotaur looks at Seiya and tells him how lucky a guy he is and how jealous he feels seeing his lord. Seiya looks at him and tells Yami to start the healing process. Minotaur shows her the wound on his arm, and Yami uses her magical powers to heal. As she starts to heal him, the pain from the wound starts to disappear. Minotaur tells Yami that she is really kind and his arm is fully healed now. He can move it without feeling any pain.